Hey everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. This is RCB, aka Rocket Catching Bob, and we're back with a lot more YouTube videos. We took a few days off there. We had to finalize the RCB merchandise and got all that stuff out there to you guys. So if you guys ordered and you guys were from YouTube, hope you guys enjoy the cool Kill Candle shirts and various other items that maybe you've ordered. Today I kind of wanted to go over top 2 plays that I had some great potential to make money in, and show you kind of what I see in the play and how you can capitalize and make bank on it also. So the first play I want to go over today is RMED. Now the first things first, we should always kind of look to see if there's any news today. And this morning there was no news, especially on this stock, right? There was news on tons of other ones though, but mainly, this thing had actually made the top gainers list, so it was in play, because on the previous week, which was on Friday, it actually had made this big move from, let's just say, 4s all the way to 7s, and then 7s all the way back down to 4s. And of course, overnight or over the weekend, this thing gapped all the way back up to the 7s again, which made it back in play. So, the first thing I want to do is look at the daily on this. So after you know it's a top gainer, we're gonna go look at the daily to see what's going on with it. If you look at my chart, you can see there's this line that goes all the way across here. It's about 640. It hits this wick here and continues over to the right here where it hits the 3rd time. So number 1, 2, 3. If you also look at my chart, you'll notice there's a bunch of red lines, which were also resistance lines that I drew these, I don't know, 6 months ago or a couple months ago. I don't know. I haven't used red lines in a long time now. So just note that that's kind of already been there. And you're going to see how this actually still respects those support and resistance lines that I've actually put up there, which were months ago. Not just today, not yesterday, not a week ago, months. Okay? So first things first. Now, this line at 640 we showed you was going to be a resistance, right? And this was the 3rd hit on the daily chart. It actually did get above it, but it did not hold it. Instead, it just kind of faded right back down and really died out. And a lot of people took losses on this because they were trying to find the bottom, and they just couldn't really find it. It just got worse and worse and worse for them. So I'm going to show you guys today kind of what you should look out for and how you don't, like, how not to get stuck in something like this. So if you noticed this morning, it actually made a nice pop all the way back to these 7s and actually 8s, to be honest with you. So $8, and that was a resistance for my red line, right? Now, it had this downtrend in pre-market, and I don't really like to buy when things are in a downtrend and really fading out with no volume at the bottom, and maybe even, you know, consolidating below the VWAP. It's kind of scary too, because you don't know how far it can come down. But what you'll notice is it actually uses the 640s, which was previously a resistance, a big one, multi-month resistance, right, as now a support. And when you see something like that that's been a resistance for so long, and you can see that maybe it's going to become a support, that's really good news. That's very bullish. So if you look here, actually when it opened up at 9 and it spiked up, and then it just couldn't get any juice, there was nothing, right? Just kind of faded right back down. Went back to testing the 640s area, and then all of a sudden, it didn't really just kind of pop up a little bit and then fade back out or consolidate. Instead, it ripped vertically all the way to 850s. So in this instance, a lot of these people who may have got short on it at any point in this area, you know, any time, they are now underwater and they're really, really stuck in it. They have no way out, and they're just in a really, really bad spot. So of course, the more it goes up, the more they're panicking, the more they panic, and it continues to go up that way. Because they really didn't see that happening. They're like, oh, this is just going to fade out. We're going to test the 640s again, and maybe it doesn't hold, and I can make money that way. Well, the bears were definitely wrong, and they got stuck in this. So for people who took a long position anywhere down here, you really made out very well. So what you need to do in your mind is break down the play into a micro play, or kind of like, I don't know, let's just say an hour timeline. I guess we can go with that today. So if you're buying at 9:30, you want to look for, the play to make a move in the next hour in which you really think that you can profit from, right? So if it goes 9:30 and let's just say it went all the way to 10:30, which is actually pretty perfect. When it makes this move, you could be selling into this volume coming in. It's basically short coverings, people who are chasing it. Here you go again. You break this line of resistance and you start getting another high a day. You could sell into that where you see there's another green candle here. Anytime you see a lot of volume coming in that's buying it, that's where you should be selling. You should be scaling out, out of it. So anytime maybe you didn't get in down here below this breakout, right? Maybe you missed this whole move, didn't really think that happened, and this caught you by surprise, which I'm sure it did for a lot of people. So you're looking for the first dip buy, and maybe you bought it on the first one, right? You got this nice little dip down to 760s. The first thing you need to do when you're buying these dips is know what you're risking off of. Are you going to risk off 750's whole psychological number, which is right around here, which is pretty close, and I like that just because it's a whole number psychology. It'd be kind of tough to say you want to risk all the way back down off 640s down here. So you really got to, have some consideration of level 2 and kind of like where you think that this play might go. So in this instance, you could have said, hey, I want to risk off of this uptrend line. I bought down here. I can see it's starting to get higher lows and higher lows and higher lows, right? Then all of a sudden later on you say, well, it's starting to break this line that I had. Let me just get out and move on. Of course, later on you see, hey, it's starting to hold another trend line. I got this wick going across to a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. So if you got any time, between the lines there, you were able to get some wicks here. As far as your dip buy is concerned, maybe you're risking off of this trend line now. And then you want to, every time it gets a pop into this area of 860s or even over 860s, you want to take some profits. There's various strategies you really can have for this. But what you really need to make sure you're doing is getting out whenever things break down or they're breaking your trend line or your support of what you kind of formulated through the charting and technical analysis. So in this instance, we could not break the 860s, which continued to be a resistance for it. And then it broke down here, and you've seen a lot of volume come in when it did break that line of support. So in that instance, be ready, get out, move on, take a small loss or, take your small win and kind of break it up. So here's your first hour, I guess. So 9:30 to 10:30 is your first hour. So I'm just trying to break it down a little bit easier for you guys. Just realize that when you take a play, you are looking for the next setup, right? So, or you're trying to play within that setup. So if you had bought down here at 9:36, now anyone who bought down here is now taking advantage of this play up here from 9:30 to 10:30, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then what happens at 10:30 or 10:37, this play becomes back to bearish. It breaks that uptrend. It comes below VWAP. It doesn't look that great anymore. It's starting to fade. If anything, you can see that there's resistance setting up at 7.89s to $8. And every time it tries to get above that, you see this wick. And you see volume down here at the bottom that it is starting to kind of fade out. It's starting to get weak. There's no buyers here. So there's the next play. So again, from 9:30 to 10:30 was the first play. From 10:35 to about, it was more than an hour on this one, all the way to about 1 was the bearish play. It was in a downtrend. There was really not much going on. I guess I'm just trying to tell you guys, you really should realize that when you're taking trades, especially as a day trader, you're breaking it into increments of what is next. So then you can get in, you can get out, take your profits, move on, and then prepare for the next setup. So the whole hour thing, I guess, doesn't work as well as I wanted it to, but just realize that. I guess that'll help you out a little bit. So time goes on. This goes to about, 13, 15. So here's another thing. You see how from 10 o'clock to about 1 o'clock, this is 3 hours of time. And it just downtrended and downtrended. and downtrend it. But guess what? Finally, it gets some support down in this area, and it can't break down any further. Instead, the sellers have stopped, and this downtrend is starting to it's starting to curl into this downtrend a little bit more, and there's not as much sellers. And anytime there is a seller, it looks like it just got bought right back up. A nice candle right here, and then it breaks this it breaks this wedge, and then it gets a higher low. So if you look here, you'll see the low was about 729 to 730. Then all of a sudden you got a higher low that was about 740s, 745s. And whenever that starts taking form, you know that maybe the third potential setup is here. So there was a long, there was a short setup, and now you're back to a long setup. You're back to the point where this could be getting more bullish. This could be making a nice play back to that upside, and you want to try to take advantage of it. You don't want to try to play 10 different stocks on the same day. You want to really focus and hone in on the positions that are available within the top gainers with the most volume, and take advantage of that. So again, this goes up, curls back around, goes back to about 830s. Maybe you scalp this 770s to 830s. That's fantastic. You could have totally done that. And then it comes back down into this downtrend, sideways action, gets another pop, actually hits this 860s resistance and breaks it, uses it as a support. Instead of a resistance, it uses it as a support, and then it makes a bigger move to 982, which again, here's my red lines. These are drawn so far, like so long ago. They're literally still respecting lines that I drew, if not weeks, months ago. And you guys really need to go back to that daily anytime you have a play that you're interested in that has volume, and map those out so you'll know where you should be trading, or where you should be selling or buying, or looking kind of where the volume should come in. That way it'll kind of give you more confirmation of when and what you should do when it gets there. RMED had tons of different plays, strategies that could have worked today. That's just like 4 or 5 little things that you guys can take into consideration. You definitely see that it has like an uptrend that comes in later, just like so. Get higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and then later it breaks this positioning, and it doesn't really kind of hold itself anymore. And you can also see by the auto trend line, it's back into a downtrend for now, and it's trying to hold this support to the left. But I mean, it's all over the place right now. It's not as easy to see or make a play out of it. So I hope that RMED recap kind of helped you out there. I know it's kind of all over the place, but there's so many different ways to make money in this play, and I'm just trying to show you a few. The other play is, where is it? ATOS. So this was a beautiful play that had resistance at about $5. If you look back at the daily on this guy, you'll see, 1, 2, 3, another big resistance on the daily that has yet to really break. And it needs help. It needs some volume. And today, it did get that volume. It actually got some news about a 901, about a phase 2 study, and it pushed $5, and then it held it, and then it rebroke here at about 513s, right? Continued to push, had a little wedge pattern here, and continued upward again. So again, if you want to kind of break it down into hour plays, you got 932 all the way to about 1032. I mean, it's pretty clean here. Got this little this curl right here, nice little breakout with volume. The wedge breaks out of the wedge, gets a higher low here at 554s, pushes all the way to 621s. There's your first play. There's a play here. There's one. Hold on. There's one play here. Okay, made a nice push. There's a second play here, number 2, where you could have took a trade and realized there's a pattern there. Okay, and then of course, selling into this area is number 3 technically, because you could go back onto the bearish side and say, hey, there was a bullish play, there's another bullish play. Now I'm going to try for a bearish play, and I'm going to look for trying to short the highs and see if we can get this to go back down, because we think it's overextended. and it needs to take a rest. So if you look at this, it actually does go in a very big downtrend, but starts holding the level of resistance slash support from earlier, right? So if you look, 560s was that area resistance. Now guess what? It's support. Now it's holding 560s. I'm going to show you something that maybe will blow your mind. I don't know. Look at this. You see this wick right here? Well, it's going to be hard to see, but I'm going to try to draw it the best I can. If you see this wick right here, if you draw that line across, and I'm literally just drawing it from, let me show you guys. Let me see if I can zoom into it. It's not even right there. Look, it's right. I'm going to show you it on this wick to this wick, right? Now we're going to zoom out. Look how clean that lines up to this higher low later. And then how this gets into this, like, this wedge here where there's a downtrend, but there's also an uptrend, and people are buying off of this. They're saying, hey, you know what? This is a great area. This thing could stay up and could push. What I'm seeing is a lot of people are just kind of taking trades randomly, like, hey, I'm going to trade right here at 575 because there's a VWAP right here. But they're not really thinking about more than just that. You should be thinking about, you know, the VWAP is here, the uptrend is up here, and the whole number psychology is here, and the downtrend is above me there. Like, there should be like 4 or 5 things kind of in your mind. This is a top gainer, and it's top 3 out of the, you know, 10 top gainers that I have for the day. People are talking about it on social media, so there's many things to think about while you're trading here. But if you look, you see it kind of tries to break this wedge right here at this little point. I got the wrong tool, but we'll just circle it there. Tries to break out of it, and it fails. So, of course, what does it do? It fakes the bulls out. They get trapped, and then they bring it down. And, of course, it could have got really bearish, but thankfully, it actually held 570s support, and it made a nice push later. So, whenever you see things like this, they're continuing to be a top gainer for the day. They're holding their gains, or they're setting up a wedge breakout. You just want to keep those on watch, but I don't like to play them in the middle of the war, of the battle. There's so many things going on right here where there's just no reason to try to buy it. You know, let it set up. Let it set up a pattern, a wedge break, ascending triangle, a head and shoulders, a double bottom, a double top, and then attack it afterwards. That way you're not wasting your resources, your time, your PDT or your under PDT trades, and you can try to take advantage of them the best you can. The name of the game is less is more, right? The less trades you take, the better the odds are that you'll make money, and you just got to be a sniper. I hope this video helped you. If it did, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, and turn on notifications. Maybe you guys don't know much about us, but we actually do stream live on twitch.tv Monday through Friday, 8:30 until about noon. We'd love to have you there. If you want to check us out and you want to learn to trade for free, please come check us out on Twitch. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.